AI is not only a software story. The larger economic question is what happens when robots change the margins of old industry. Welcome to Dragon Bullion! The biggest mistake in the AI discussion is to look only for companies that make AI models or robots. That is important, but it is not the whole economic story. The deeper change is what AI and robots do to low-margin industries that already have large revenue. Old manufacturers often have scale, factories, brands, distribution, and customers. What they do not always have is high operating margin. If automation reduces labor pressure, lowers unit cost, improves quality control, and keeps production running longer hours, then the same revenue base can produce much higher profit. That is why the investor question is not only who sells the robot. The better question is, who can use the robot to change the profit structure of an existing business? Manufacturing has usually been treated as capital-heavy and margin-limited. Investors like the revenue, but they discount the business when labor cost, plant cost, and cyclicality eat the profit. Robotics can change that math. If a company can produce more output with fewer bottlenecks, less downtime, and more predictable quality, operating leverage improves. A move from an 8% margin to a 16% margin is not a small accounting change. It can change how the market values the entire company. This is why old industries should not automatically be dismissed as old economy. Some of them may become AI adoption platform, but the condition is strict. The company has to show that automation is entering real production, not only a presentation deck. The margin improvement has to appear in financial statements. The opposite case is just as important. If robot spending rises but output, uptime, and unit costs do not improve, the company has only added another capital expense. In that case, the theme can sound powerful while the earnings evidence stays weak. So the proof is practical. Operating margin, free cash flow, defect rates, delivery speed, and whether revenue growth turns into profit growth. Without that proof, manufacturing re-rating remains only a story. Hyundai Motor is useful as an example because it connects automobiles, factories, robotics, and manufacturing scale. The company is not only a car brand in this framework. It can become a test case for whether robotics improves the economics of a large old industry manufacturer. If robot supply is scarce in the early phase, companies that can develop or secure internal robotics capacity may move faster than companies waiting for outside supply. That can matter. Early deployment lets a manufacturer reduce cost, refine processes, and collect operating data before slower competitors catch up. This does not mean every auto company automatically wins. It means the market should watch whether automation becomes a measurable margin advantage. AI and robots do not spread through the economy by magic. They need infrastructure. They need roads, factories, logistics networks, power grids, communication networks, cloud capacity, data centers, and reliable payment systems. That is why the next economy is not only a chip story. Semiconductors are the backbone, but the body includes power, networks, factories, and settlement rails. Investors should not chase every futuristic headline. The practical checklist is simple. Which companies lower production costs? Which companies own the infrastructure? Which companies control customer access? Which companies can turn productivity into operating profit? If those links are missing, the theme can be exciting while the stock still disappoints. Stablecoins should be separated from the usual speculative coin discussion. Bitcoin and Ethereum are important market liquidity signals, but stablecoins can play a different role. They can become settlement infrastructure for global digital commerce. If AI services, robot services, software agents, and cross-border consumer tools spread globally, the payment layer has to be fast, low cost, and accessible. Traditional cards and banking rails are powerful, but they do not reach every consumer or every small business with the same speed. That is where stablecoins can matter. They can connect users, platforms, and merchants across borders, especially when the product is digital or automated. The investment point is not to buy every token story. The point is to watch which platforms, banks, payment companies, and jurisdictions control the compliant stablecoin rail. China cannot be ignored. It has manufacturing scale, robotics capability, and a huge industrial base. But in the early robot transition phase, energy cost and power infrastructure can be constraints. A cheap robot is not truly cheap if electricity, uptime, maintenance, and deployment costs are high. Korea has a different structure. The country is smaller, more concentrated, and has dense industrial clusters. That can make grid upgrades, factory automation, and communication infrastructure easier to coordinate in specific areas. In human labor cost competition, Korea has often been at a disadvantage versus China. In robot-to-robot production cost competition, the deciding variables can shift toward power price, automation density, process know-how, and infrastructure reliability. Still, China is a serious long-term competitor. If China solves energy and grid constraints, its scale becomes powerful again. The United States has a different strategic problem. It wants to control the platforms, AI models, semiconductor chain, cloud layer, and global payment rail. This is why AI, robotics, stablecoins, and settlement infrastructure should be read together. If the US can connect AI services, corporate platforms, dollar-based stablecoins, and global consumer payment access, it strengthens the dollar system in a new digital form. That does not make the path guaranteed. Regulation, privacy, political conflict, and financial stability risk can all slow adoption. But it explains why payment infrastructure is part of the AI economy. Robots create output. AI creates services. Stable settlement rails help turn that output and those services into global revenue. For investors, the framework is not complicated. First, find companies where automation can change margins, not only companies that talk about automation. Second, check whether revenue is already large enough for margin improvement to matter. Third, watch whether operating margin, free cash flow, and unit cost actually improve. Fourth, follow the infrastructure owners. Power, communication, cloud, data centers, chips, payment rails, and logistics. Fifth, separate market signals from structural themes. Bitcoin and Ethereum can tell you about liquidity. Stablecoins can tell you about payment rails. They are not the same trade. Finally, respect price. A good structural story can still be a bad entry if the market has already priced perfection. The final idea is simple. AI and robots can reprice old manufacturing if they change margins. The winner is not only the company that builds the robot, it can also be the company that uses robots to turn a low-margin revenue base into a higher-profit business. Stablecoins matter because the AI robot economy needs fast global payment infrastructure. China matters because scale is powerful, but energy and infrastructure decide early competitiveness. The United States matters because it wants to connect AI, platforms, chips, and dollar settlement rails. So the next economy should be watched as one system: productivity, infrastructure, payment, ownership, and price. Do not chase the theme blindly. Watch the margin proof, the infrastructure proof, and the payment rails. Then wait for an entry where the price still makes sense.